Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to learn how to optimize images for the web. And I have a very cute kitty up here on the screen. And our job is going to be to size this kitty for web. And I'm also going to talk about a little bit about if we wanted to use the same image in a print context. So the rules, of course, for print and web are a bit different. And let's pretend that this kitty is going to be a part of a printed brochure and it is also going to be on our website. Okay, so right now, kitty is pretty big. And how do we find out just how big? Well, we're going to be in Photoshop here and we're going to go to Image, Image Size, Image Size. So I'm going to take a look at the kitty, and here are the facts in terms of file size and resolution about the kitty. Well, the kitty is 22.8 megabytes, and it's almost 3,500 pixels wide by 2,300 pixels high, and its resolution is 72 pixels per inch. Resolution really doesn't matter. It's the number of pixels by the number of pixels that matters. All right, so first of all, let's talk about the kitty itself. This is large enough for a print piece, and it's too large for a web screen. So even though we can manipulate this image so that it could appear smaller on the web by using the width and height attributes of the image tag, we don't want to do that. Why? Because it is going to make our website run really, really slow. It will be slow loading, and that is what we do not want. Especially, I've had students put 5 or 10 large high-resolution images on a web page or a website, and then they wonder, well, why does it load so slow? Well, it's because the images are enormous. So this is pretty enormous for the web. So what we need to do is sample it down. Now, we never sample up, we only sample down. We can never get any more detail out of this kitty. We can only size her down, and that means the compromise is going to be that at some point we're going to start to lose some vital detail. Okay, so right now this is a very high-res image. We can see every piece of fur, but in all honesty, I'm going to cancel out of this a minute, the kitty on a web screen is probably going to be about that big. So we don't need to see every little hair. And so what we're going to do is resample her down. We're going to sample her down using image size. Okay, so our best bet here is to make a compromise between size and resolution. Okay, so I want you to notice two things. One, of course, is the dimensions of the image. One is the fact that this is locked. We want to keep it locked because we want the proportions of the kitty to remain the same. And finally, I want you to notice the resample box. So if I don't resample, then I'm just changing the kitty's print size. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so we're going to have two versions of the kitty, one for print, one for web. This happens a lot. But what we want to do is resample the image. Resampling the image means we are throwing away image data. Now that sounds really bad, but the truth is that we need enough image data in the kitty so that the kitty looks good on the web. All right, so I'm going to switch this to pixels. And I'm going to take the kitty down to about 800 pixels wide. And notice I have the proportions locked. And resolution of 72, I just want you to ignore that. Resolution doesn't mean anything. All that matters is the width and height in pixels. So this would be a pretty large image on a web page, and it might even be too large for, say, a phone or any other mobile device. It'd be fine for a tablet, it'd be fine for a laptop or a computer screen. But we might even want to take the kitty a bit lower. So we'll make the kitty 600 pixels. All right, so I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to hit Command 0 so I can see my kitty again. And I'm going to save kitty under a different name. Okay, obviously I've done this before. I'm going to save it as optimizedkitty.jpg. All right, so Yes, I do want to replace the kitty. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have lost. So as you can see, if I zoom way, way in, I can't see every little hair on the kitty anymore. But on the other hand, this image is it's going to be looked at about this size. So we have plenty of image data to work from. Now let's look at our options. We're saving the kitty as a JPEG, .jpg. JPEG stands for Joint Photographic Experts Group, if you didn't know. And when we're saving files and optimizing for them for the web, basically what we're looking at is trying to create the optimum compromise between size of the image, detail, and the size of the image in terms of kilobytes and detail. So right now the kitty is on maximum quality, which gives us 111K. And since kitty is going to display at about this size, I'm going to see if we can't get away with something a little bit lower. So if I put her on 9, wow, she drops to 88.8K. Now let's take a look at what we've lost. Not too much. Now let's push that all the way to low. Ooh. Now we get what are called JPEG artifacts. JPEG artifacts are, see these blocky boxes? What the JPEG file format does is it tries to compress the image data and preserve as much vital detail as possible. So you notice in the blurry areas of the kitty here, we don't have as much detail. It's reduced to just blocks of pixels. Whereas in the eyes, it's preserving more detail in what it is hoping are those vital areas. But still, we don't need, now this is 38K. Still, this would be too blocky, too much, too artifacty, too JPEG-y to be of a lot of use to us. So let's see, let's keep the kitty zoomed into this level, and I'm going to push it up. And as I push it up, you can see I get fewer and fewer. Look at that. When I get to low quality, I get fewer and fewer JPEG artifacts. So I could probably leave the kitty here at 50K. I'm getting a few JPEG artifacts up here in the blur zone. So I'm going to push it up one more, and I get fewer JPEG artifacts yet. So I think 62K is pretty good. We're not getting a lot of JPEG artifacts in the kitty. We still have vital detail in the kitty for the size that we're looking at. And I'm going to click OK. All right, so optimized kitty. Let's take a look at optimized kitty versus our large image. Okay, and I'm going to quickly close this one a second. We're going to look at that in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to go to Window Arrange, and I'm going to do Tile Vertically. All right, so here, if we're looking at these just at normal magnification, you really can't see a difference, can you? However, when I start to zoom in, so I'll zoom in twice, even there we can't see much difference. Let's zoom in again. 1, 2, 1, 2. So if I look here at the fur on Kitty's nose, I can see where we have lost the detail, but at the size we need, the kitty looks just fine. Okay, so we have just created an acceptable compromise between image size and image resolution. So this kitty we saved as a JPEG. All right, a little bit about JPEGs. JPEGs are an acceptable file format for the web. As I said, they are, it's called Joint Photographic Experts Group. That is what that stands for. And the deal is that JPEG is lossy compression. Lossy meaning that it is losing detail in your image that it hopefully doesn't need in order to display at the correct size. So for web, we use JPEG quite a bit. JPEG does not support transparency, which we're going to get to in a bit. For print, our high-res kitty, look at that, lots of detail. We would never save as a JPEG. So our large image is going to be saved as a non-lossy format. And our optimized image for the web is going to be, we already saved it as a JPEG. But okay, so let's just pretend that for a moment we're going to use this image in a brochure and a website. All right, so Kitty, in this image, this would be for print, this would be for web. So for the web, we always use RGB, red, green, blue, for screen-based images. For the kitty here, that is going to be in print, we would use CMYK, so image mode CMYK. And I would not save her as a JPEG, I would save her as a non-lossy format like a Photoshop format. Oops, got to do save as here. File, save as. And instead of JPEG, I'm going to save her as a Photoshop format. All right, I could also save her as a TIFF or a Photoshop EPS, but I'm going to save her as a Photoshop format. Okay, all right, so this is not a print class, this is a web class, but what I want you all to understand is that JPEG, we're resampling down for size, an effective compromise between size and resolution and detail, and it's always RGB. And for an image that's, if we want the same image and it's destined for print, we're going to keep all of those pixels and we are going to make sure it's in CMYK. So when you take a print class, we're going to learn a lot more about that, say type an image. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close the kitty. Now we have our optimized kitty. All right, so that's the JPEG format. There's one other thing that I want to talk about, and that's transparency. All right, so let's say that I want to, so I'm going to open up a logo here. So this logo would be something in the header area of our website, and it's going to be about this size. And let's say I don't want this background anymore. I just want baby jaguar. So, and I want a white background. So this, I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. This grid denotes transparency in Photoshop. So this is Jaguar Facts for Kids. You would think I would have chosen a panther rather than a jaguar, but you know what? I wasn't thinking. So this logo has transparency, and so we're going to save it for the web using a different format. That format is PNG, PNG, or Portable Network Graphic, and it is non-lossy. All right, so we use it when we want something that is transparent. So transparency is the advantage of the PNG format. Okay, so website sample, I'm going to save it. I've obviously saved this before. And I get some options here: medium saving, slowest saving, large file size. Interlacing means that the image loads quickly over time. That's not used that much anymore. This image is not that big anyway. I'm actually going to go and look at it an image size, and let's see how much. It's 58K already. So, and it's 200 by 100 pixels. So this is something where we just don't need to worry too much. I've already created it at a low resolution. So I'm just going to go ahead and save it as a PNG or PNG. Okay, so now this, we have preserved the transparency. So a PNG is used for images that have transparency, and a JPEG is used for images that don't have transparency. Very simple. You know, there are other formats like GIF or GIF, graphic interchange format. I don't use those as much, although they're growing in popularity because they can be animated. So those are the two basic file formats for web design, and that's how you resample an image down. All right, I want you to understand something. If we decided, you know what, let's say we want the detail back in this kitty. Did you notice that I saved those files under two different names, Optimized Kitty, and the other one was called Large Image for Optimization? Always keep the high-res image because you never know when you might need a high-res image. So let's do an experiment here. Okay, so we've taken this kitty down to 600 pixels wide, and I want the detail back in the kitty. So I'm going to go back to image size, and I'm going to take her back to 3,500 pixels. Okay, we're going to get a preview here. Okay, notice, do you remember how incredibly detailed that image was? Are we getting that detail back? Let's check. So I'm going to quick get rid of the logo, and let's arrange these, and we're going to tile them vertically. All right, so here's the original kitty, and here's the one that we sized down and then sized back up. So guys, I think you can easily see the lesson here. You can't get the detail back. So once you have resampled the image down, if you resample it up, you're just going to get a blurry image of what you have done before. So that would be a big no. You can't get the detail back. You cannot resize up. Period. End of story. So what you want to do is keep a high-res version, and I'm going to go ahead and undo my optimized kitty here and realize that once you resample down, you're done. You can't get the detail back, nor can you put detail into an image that was never there to begin with. So for example, I couldn't make this kitty any more detailed. If I sized her up, I would just get a blurry version of everything that's already there. So the lesson being, we can always go down, but we can't go back up. It's kind of like, buying a car or something. You can't say, or selling a car. Let's say, you know what, I'm going to offer you this car for $3,500. Great, I'll take it. Great, you know what, I'm going to offer you this car for $4,000. What do you think? You cannot go back up. You can only go down. All right, so that's it for this lesson on image optimization. Hope you enjoyed it.